is Ogoniland of Rivers State in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. It consists of 4 local government areas, namely Eleme, Kana, Gokana, and Tai. Prior to the discovery of crude oil in Ogoniland, the Ogonis excelled in fish farming and food production. But with the advent of crude oil exploration in Ogoni communities, the fishermen and farmers gradually lost their means of livelihood to the environmental pollution resulting from many years of crude oil spillage, and the oil-rich Ogoniland has become a shadow of itself. With the ground less fertile for food production and the waters unfit for aquatic habitation, the crude oil boom has indeed spelt doom for the people of Ogoniland.
Since the pollution of the crude oil at my community here, it's damaged so many things in my community. For example, like the river, the whole creek as you see it here, the whole river is well polluted with crude oil. Even in our farmland, everywhere is well damaged with crude oil. Even the crops we plant in our farm, everything's off. And since then, the federal government did not pay any good attention to my own community. Even the water we are drinking, nothing. If you look at it, you see some pools from where to this place. Since they provide light to others' community, we don't have lights here. Nothing.
Because of the oil spillage, all houses were damaged. We are not able to settle there any longer. We find ourselves hanging here and there. No structure again in the community. So also happened in Bele community. There are people have run out, unsettled, no ways of surviving.
Shell's oil-related operations, which started in Ogoniland in 1958, were terminated in 1993 when Ogoni people, in the face of the environmental degradation, rose up to stop Shell's operations, and Shell had to vacate Ogoniland, leaving behind its pipeline infrastructure.
Look at, you can observe, these are the properties of Shell in the community.
This is Busu community, and I'm from Busu. We left here because of the oil well here, and right now I'm in Kenya community. That is where we beg and stay. So I would have like make any person who can help us, even the UN or any other person, which can help, either with the local, either the government or any person who can help us, they should come to help us.
This is Yola oil field in Kana local government area of Rivers State. We are currently at well 10 of the about 16 oil wells that are here in Yola oil field. In this whole environment have been polluted, and it is one of the areas that oil production is no longer taking place in Ogoni. The entire Ogoni environment is still polluted.
Celestine Akpobari, a community activist who has lived in Ogoniland all his life, lamented the deterioration in the standard of living of Ogoni people, which he attributed to the oil pollution and the resultant loss of livelihoods. He described life as it used to be in Ogoniland before the discovery of crude oil.
Life was beautiful. There was enough. In fact, Ogoni was a food basket for Niger Delta. The body market used to play host to all the good people travel from far and wide to come to Ogoni. We used to have very rich delicacy. If you read the book of Ken Saro-Wiwa, first and second letter to the Ogoni youth, you will see the wonderful picture he painted of the beautiful Ogoni environment, where rich seafoods, rich delicacies, periwinkles, the ngoro, different seafood that we used to have. They are no more. Oil was discovered in commercial quantity in Ogoniland in 1958, and we have 96 oil wells connected to 5 oil fields. The Ogoni story with oil is a very, very sad one, because the best man that has ever lived in this part of the world was Ken Saro-Wiwa. Why did he die? He died because he led a non-violent campaign against these practices. You just come, steal land from people without even negotiating with them, pollute the environment, flare gas constantly, and put nothing back. And the man said, no, I'm well traveled. I've seen that communities that has oil are better off because rent and royalties are paid directly to them. Why is it that oil that belongs to Ogoni, no one benefit from it?
The Nigerian government, under the administration of the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, commissioned UNEP to carry out a scientific study and assessment of Ogoni land following several years of oil exploration by Shell and the pollution of the area. By 2011, August 4 to be precise, the report of the agency came out. It told of the way the environment is polluted.
The UNEP report of 2011 specifically revealed that the surface water in the creeks of Ogoniland contained petroleum hydrocarbons, and the worst case of groundwater pollution was found in Eleme local government area, where an 8-centimeter layer of refined oil was observed floating on the groundwater which serves the water wells. And Ogoni people drank water from the wells that were contaminated with the carcinogen known as benzene at levels which were over 900 times above the guideline of the World Health Organization, WHO.
It's a report that states that 5 meters of the land, 2-story building, that is dead completely. That there is hydrocarbon in the air to go to people and the water they drink. And that benzene, a cancer-causing agent, is in the water that the Ogoni people drink. And when all that happens, it shows that the people who eat food from such a land, who breathe air from that environment, and drink water from such polluted environment, the people are barely living.
See our net. Go come out so that when we reach outside, say, now, oil.
See this one. Yeah. Okay, me I know they are better.
The main corporate, Shell and NNPC, because they operate a joint venture. The two are guilty of the pollution of whatever that has happened to the Ogoni environment.
UNEP recommended in its report some emergency measures, 2 of which were the marking of all contaminated drinking water wells as unfit for human consumption, and the provision of adequate sources of drinking water to those households lacking potable water as a result of the hydrocarbon pollution. However, the Nigerian government did not immediately commence the implementation of UNEP's recommendations. Instead, the Nigerian government in 2012 established an agency called the Hydrocarbon Pollution Restoration Project, HYPREP, to carry out certain functions, some of which were similar to the recommendations contained in the UNEP report, such as the marking of all polluted drinking water wells and the provision of adequate sources of drinking water to the affected households. HYPREP has so far failed to successfully implement these emergency measures in Ogoni land. Even the very basic clean water has not been provided by HYPREP.
In 2004, when the devastating spill happened behind Gitu campsite, it flowed into my father's investment that I inherited, and the whole fish farms collapsed. The bakery collapsed as a result of the pollution from the TMP. Because of this, I contacted Social Action, ERA, Amnesty International, Friends of the Earth, and so on and so forth organizations to come to my aid. They assisted me, and I filed a suit against them at The Hague. And yet, they used administrative effort or strategies to deprive me of my investment, my entitlement. Up till now, the next thing I noticed was that HYPREP came, mounted a billboard at my frontage that I should vacate the environment. HYPREP did not tell me how long I would stay away from my home before coming back. They didn't tell me cogent reasons why I should vacate my home. There was no alternative therapy to enhance that I get food, water, medical facilities to help my family. Up to today, the billboard is there. Nobody stays in my home again.
HYPREP was established without an enabling law, and the government did not make clear budgetary provisions for its operations. Rather, HYPREP was made to function as a body under the control of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources instead of the Ministry of Environment, which raises concerns considering that the Petroleum Ministry, in conjunction with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, are implicated in the pollution of the Niger Delta.
The establishment of HYPREP in 2012 was like a beer parlor arrangement. Apart from the fact that it negates the recommendation of United Nations Environment Programme, which recommended for the establishment of an Ogoni Environmental Restoration Authority. It was at the eve of an Ogoni protest, whereby they wanted to take over the economic activities in Ogoni land for non-implementation of UNEP report. There was actually no action for quite some time because the mandate of HYPREP was not clear. And the mandate of HYPREP that was not clear made it difficult for them to take up any activities in Ogoni. Although they were meant to carry out the initial phase of the UNEP report that recommended for emergency measures like provision of water and cleanup. But up till now, nothing has been done. The Ogoni area is still without cleanup, and water has not been provided. If you get to Okana LGA, you will see HYPREP tanks at the local government area. You get to Okana LGA, you see HYPREP tanks in the local government area. You get to Tai LGA, you see HYPREP tanks in the communities without water. And if you get to Element, you see the same thing. Up till now, nothing has been done.
Even get water, even UN come, say they will give us water, then bring water till now. We'll never see the water again. Even refinery, they come to put water, just put empty tank for us. Even when they drink the water they pollute, they smell oil, purple leaf, they pollute the ground. Even now, where water would they take, you know, they scratch us body, spoil our body. So we never even get water now. We they cry for the government and let them bring water for us. So they suffer for water.
Water has not been provided, health facilities are not in place, cleanup has not been done for 2 years of their existence. So HYPREP is a total failure, and we want it scrapped and replaced with the Ogoni Environmental Restoration Authority as recommended by UNEP in its report.
UNEP did not recommend HYPREP. UNEP was very clear in its recommendation. They should set up Ogoni Environment Restoration Authority. I don't know the kind of politics they are playing with the life of the people.
The environmental degradation of Ogoni communities has severely affected the lives of Ogoni men, women, youth, and children in diverse ways.
When I plant something like pepper, it won't produce because of the oil. Okra, before when I plant okra on this land, the okra they produce 3 basins. But now when I plant, it's only one basin.
The oil is overflowing everywhere. Everything spoiled by the oil. Even when rain fall, the roof, the water that comes down is black.
So, we bara we ele no ne yibu to dene numbe ho bara vie. So ngombu gara lo nu de ayomebu gaga yobu dadu aga yobu pia yudoro. Ben ma o na ogo ibe ma o lo maga netanga. E bana mambe dobe saga ibi on no ne tembu kensa yi no lo ma. Et là, ça, on doit ayobu pianu.
Water we are drinking this way or use in cooking are not good. It brings us several kinds of sickness, such as diabetes, such as dysentery, diarrhea, to the even small children we have. Even the water they bath, put crocodile all over their body. Those water are not useful to human being. It's being taken because of all this negligence of giving us good water.
Against the background of the environmental pollution in Ogoniland and the failure of the Nigerian government to implement the recommendations of the UNEP report, the Social Development Integrated Center, also called Social Action, launched a massive advocacy campaign to bring to light the challenges caused by the non-implementation of the UNEP report in relation to the negative practice of crude oil theft and illegal artisanal refining perpetrated in Ogoniland. Social Action deployed researchers who undertook field trips within and outside Ogoniland, and the outcome was the production of 2 publications in 2014, namely Still Polluted and Crude Business. While Still Polluted focused on the monitoring of government and Shell's response to UNEP's report, the Crude Business highlighted crude oil theft in Nigeria, which is carried out by high-ranking stakeholders in the oil industry, as well as some members of the oil-rich communities who secretly carry out illegal oil bunkering and artisanal refining. A few of these community folks agreed to speak on camera, but not after demanding that their physical identities and names be kept completely concealed.
We put pipe. The pipe, let me say, about 3 to 4 feet from the place where we will cook that thing, where they cook that crude oil. Extend them, reach front. We go on pipeline, go get a crude oil. We dig a hole, transfer the waste product, put inside. In short, if mistakenly you fall inside, you will die. When that thing we just hide well, we just hide because, of course, government they find us, but because of hungry, because of poor conditions, because of no works, we just go marry jam.
Some of them are ready to settle down with that thing that can feed them because of the risk involved and because of the awareness that have been so created about the danger of the environment and their own belly health. Because sometimes you can imagine a crude, filling up a whole vessel, and somebody can mistakenly fall into that crude. It happens. So the health implication as well is there. So many of them are ready to leave the business for anything that can sustain it. That I can say for sure because I have interacted with them for some reasonable extent, and I know that that is what is obtainable, especially now that the security men are everywhere. We can't take any fat from what the security men are doing.
The nation should consider the Ogonis as human beings. 2, the Ogoni nationality should be developed. The pipeline that is conveying crude for Shell that is overage should be completely changed. If they cannot comply with these conditions, Shell should pack. Let the Ogonis discuss with whoever that is coming to take up the exploration of our oil. And that is the only option.
In view of the need to further empower the members of oil-bearing communities within and outside Ogoniland, Social Action commenced a budget advocacy campaign to promote transparency and accountability in the utilization of public revenue accruable from the petroleum resources of these coast communities.
Despite the enormous wealth represented by hydrocarbon resources in the Niger Delta, this region, its state and its local government areas account for some of the highest levels of poverty. This was the motivation for Social Action to intervene in the area of transparency and accountability. And this is the basis of the Niger Delta Citizens and Budget Platform's work in the Niger Delta as it relates to transparency and accountability. Social Action, working with NDCP, came to the conclusion some years ago that the major problem of the Niger Delta was not so much a lack of resources, because we believe that so much resources are accrued to the region on account of the fact that this region produces oil. Nigeria has a policy where 13% of oil proceeds from a particular state, particular area, is returned back to their places of extraction. And by that virtue, this region is endowed with a lot of resources. So our idea about budget advocacy was to mobilize community people to the extent that they can actually, train them, mobilize them to the extent that they can actually pick up a copy of their state budget or a copy of their local government budget and go out there to find out whether the things that the state governor, the State House of Assembly, the Ministry of Budget and Planning had mentioned in the budget were actually delivered to the people. Every year, budgets are made. But we discover that budgets are mere annual rituals which state and local government feel compelled to do, but they are never ever committed to it. We realize that budgets did not translate into development for the people. So we mobilized community people in the paralegal centers, and particularly the paralegal center in Diop, the one in Port Harcourt, the one in Mbiama, the one in Warri, and the one in Brass and Kana, local government areas. We mobilized them and enabled them go out there and monitor the budget, and we discovered that over 90% of projects in the education, health, and food sufficiency sectors, which include agriculture, over 90% of projects mentioned in the budget in these various sectors didn't exist anywhere. So we have passed the stage in Kana local government area where the ordinary Kana person saw the budget document of the local government area as a technical document that he had no input into or could not peruse, could not read or understand. Through our various budget monitoring and budget analysis trainings, citizens in Kana local government area tied around the Bori Paralegal Center now see budget documents as a document that represents their interests, their aspirations, and a document which they should annually contribute into its making. And for this reason, these citizens have taken it as a point of duty to periodically analyze the budget document, interpret what is in there for them, monitor how much government is implementing this budget, and hold their various local government officials to duty as it relates to development priorities as contained in the budget. From where we are looking at it from where we are coming from, this is a tremendous improvement to the level of budget knowledge that people had, to the level of understanding of what development entails which they had. And for us, this is victory.
The challenges of environmental pollution, crude oil theft, and illegal artisanal refineries in Nigeria cannot be adequately addressed without a new constitutional arrangement that devolves powers to federating units and institutions of local governance to exercise sufficient control over resources located in their domains. Social Action recommends that the UNEP report should be implemented in Ogoniland as a starting point for the cleanup of all oil-polluted communities in Nigeria. Social Action also recommends that the Nigerian government and oil companies must ensure that oil pipelines are secured to prevent illegal oil bunkering, as the recommended cleanup of Ogoniland can never be absolutely achieved if pipeline vandalization, which also causes oil spillage, is not stopped. This documentary was produced by the Social Development Integrated Center, also called Social Action, a civil society organization in Nigeria which supports people of various communities affected by the negative impacts of petroleum exploitation.